in, I'll research for myself, and I'll make my own decision.
These are stories about conspiracy theories, misinformation, disinformation, and the real lives that they're affecting.
My mom is really smart. She's incredibly kind. She has more empathy in her little finger than I think most people have in their entire body. And I do think it's those things about her that make her particularly susceptible to these kinds of conspiracy theories.
It's increasingly apparent that misinformation is everywhere, and it's sometimes hard to distinguish between what is fact and what is fiction. The story I did for the issue centers on a woman whose mother has begun to go down the rabbit hole, if you will, of QAnon. She is someone who, by and large, is not the person you would think of when you think of believers in conspiracy theories. She's an older woman, churchgoer, she's a teacher, she's a mom, she's a grandmother, and she's now started to believe at an alarming rate the theories that are kind of connected to the QAnon conspiracy theory umbrella.
A conspiracy group called QAnon.
I just don't know about QAnon.
The insane right-wing conspiracy group called QAnon. The FBI has called a potential domestic terror threat.
Twitter is removing thousands of accounts linked to QAnon, or Q.
QAnon is a far-right conspiracy theory that is rooted in the false belief that Satan-worshipping pedophiles, mostly Democrats and establishment Republicans, run a global sex trafficking ring and are plotting against President Donald Trump, who wants to take them down. I was part of a Facebook group that a person had posted in, and they said, my mother is someone who believes in the QAnon conspiracy theory. And is this something anyone else is experiencing? So they were looking for connection. They were looking to sort of vent and talk a little bit about what they've been experiencing.
The question, I think, has become less about truth and more about the morality of sex trafficking. And so the more she reads about it, the more difficult it becomes to have these conversations, because instead of saying, well, here's where I got the facts and information from, and yes, it's true, or no, it's not true, the discussion becomes, well, how can you be trying to tell me that this isn't true when it's obviously immoral?
So the woman that we spoke to, her name is Sarah, and she asked that we not use her last name or any other identifying factors that would make it easy for a person reading the story to potentially know it was her who spoke to us. It was important for her to be able to talk about this and talk about it freely, but know that it also isn't something that will come back to bite her. I thought it was very important that we get to the heart of the people at these stories. It's very easy to look at QAnon or the conspiracy theories connected to it and turn up your nose at it, or think, you know, this is so beyond the realm of possibility that the people believing it are not like me or not like the people I love. But what we found when we were doing our reporting is that that's not really the case, especially with this theory.
My mom has worked with children over the years. I think she just knows how scary it can be to lose your kid in the store and not know what happened to them. I think my siblings and I all got lost while we were shopping, and you turn around and they're there, and the next minute you turn around, they're gone. And I think a lot of the things that you see passed around on Facebook and any other social media site really are sort of the idea that some scary stranger will follow you through the store and just grab your kid. And that danger is always very real and very imminent. Once you sort of start reading articles about the QAnon conspiracy theories, the algorithms are also programmed to continue feeding you similar types of information. It ends up feeding you more conspiracy theories.
I think as journalists, it's sometimes easy to think of the stories we do simply as stories, but these are real people's lives. These are real people's emotions and relationships that are on the line when they do agree to talk with us. And by putting that trust in us, it's our duty to also make sure that their lives aren't upended in the process. It made sense to agree to those conditions to do the interview so that people could see that this is something that everyday people are experiencing, everyday people are going through, and be able to kind of put a human story to the headlines that everyone has been seeing with increasing frequency. So that's the story that I covered for this issue. My colleague, reporter Ali Weintraub, looked at another aspect.
My name is Ali Weintraub. I'm a digital content producer at Inside Edition.
It's almost like playing a game of whack-a-mole, right? You knock that one down, and then your friend comes up with another one.
I wanted to look into some of the psychology behind why people believe in conspiracy theories. There's been some recent research, and one of the things the research has found that respondents who feel uncertain, they're more likely to believe in a number of conspiracy theories.
The main thing that we know about believing conspiracy theories is that they stem from uncertainty. So when a big negative, scary event happens that makes a lot of us uncertain, makes us feel powerless, makes us feel anxious, like we've lost control. A natural thing that we all do in these cases is we try to explain the event. And what this search for an explanation can sometimes do is it can sometimes lead us to connect dots that shouldn't be connected. And that can lead us down the path of believing a conspiracy theory. So the question is, why do some people go to conspiracy theories as a way to cope?
I spoke to a political psychologist. Her name's Dr. Joanne Miller, and she, part of what she does is she looks into some of the reasons why people have certain political attitudes. And recently, she's kind of looked into why people believe in conspiracy theories and what kind of needs or motivations or reasonings why people are drawn to conspiracy theories. What we know about conspiracy theories is they often form what's called a monological belief system, which basically is a web of different conspiracy theories that come together. And that makes it really hard to debunk because there's usually some kind of higher order need or motivation. And especially with the COVID conspiracy theories that came about, they're all positively correlated, meaning the more you believe in one, the more likely you are to believe in others.
And they kind of hang together as kind of like a belief system. It's this COVID-19 conspiracy theory belief system. And that belief system is maybe tighter, is a good word for it, for people who are currently feeling uncertain. And it makes total sense because if you are feeling uncertainty and you're grasping at explanations, you're going to grasp here, and you're going to look over here, and you're going to look over here, and you're going to be willing to entertain a whole bunch of these conspiracy theories. If you think that's going to help you rein in some of that uncertainty.
There's other motivations too, like for some people, especially with QAnon folks, that's their sense of community as well. Then it becomes something to rally around, like as a community. My colleague Johanna Lee, she looked into cults and cult deprogramming for the issue.
My name is Johanna Lee, and I'm a reporter with Inside Edition Digital. For the story, I spoke with a cult interventionist named Joseph Simhart, who explained his methods, which included talking to the person who had been affected by the cult.
Cult intervention is not to get people out of a cult, it's to help them to choose their way out of it.
According to Joe, a cult is a group with a self-sealing social system.
It's maintaining its own definition of reality, and it's self-sealing and kind of like an echo chamber. The people all feed into the central idea of the leader, and the leader controls it. That's generally an unhealthy situation.
So normally Simhart's interventions start with the family, right? He has discussions with the family to see what the best approach into having a discussion with the person affected by the cult might be, whether it's catching this person by surprise or having kind of a sit-down prearranged meeting. And how he normally goes about it is he would sit down with the person or surprise the person that's been affected by the cult and just have a discussion as to what the beliefs are and kind of begin untangling this web of misinformation.
Joe has been performing interventions for nearly 40 years, ever since he left a group he calls a cult.
It was called Summit Lighthouse and Church Universal and Triumphant, and I was involved with it for about a year and a half. I noticed some serious problems. The idea behind the groups was to transform the self and to help transform the world into a better, more holy place. The leaders didn't seem to be living according to the strict codes of ethics that the members were expected to live by. You know, I found out that the leadership was eating meat and ice cream, and that was forbidden. And I began to research the whole background of it, and I had a clearer head, things cleared up in my head.
I think the takeaway is that in times of uncertainty, people like looking to something that's bigger than themselves, whether that's aliens out there looking to save the human race or something like QAnon. If someone you love is involved in a cult, Joseph Simhart's biggest tip is not to alienate them. You want to make them feel heard. You want them to still see you as part of their inner circle. And that will ultimately make it easier for them to kind of come back to you.
Thank you very much for watching. We'd love to hear what your thoughts are on this and our other pieces in the comments below.
This is Inside Edition Digital.